Hello, this is Michael, and thanks for joining me for this walkthrough. I'm going to go over a walkthrough of LogMeOnce password management, and basically stops the hassle of remembering all your passwords. So, in order to install LogMeOnce Password Manager, you go to logmeonce.com and then select the URL here. It gives you, of course, I was a little quick. It gives you a couple of options for team, business edition, personal. I'm going to click on personal and family. It brings me to this page and I'm going to log in. So I am on a Chrome browser right now and I am assuming I am the parent. My name is Joe. Okay, I'm Joe and I'm going to put my email address here. I am the family parent. I'm going to put my email address here. Click on next. The first thing it's going to ask me is for my name. I'm going to say Joe. I'm going to put my password. It asks me for a combination of password that, character that should be matching. When it finds a match, it basically says it found a match. I click on continue. Now on the next page, it asks me to select a security answer. The security question answer is really selected, based on in case you forgot your password, you would be able to reset it. But it's important that you should select something that you remember. So what I'm going to do here, you have a choice of selecting any password you want, or you can type your own question as well. So in this case, I'm going to write my own question. The question that I write, it should really make sense to me, not to others. I could say, where is my son? It doesn't have to mean anything as long as I know what the answer is. So this is just really something to help me. And the answer should be something that I know. I can, for example, write here my son's, phone number. So that could be the answer. So that's the only way I can come in and log into the system. And since I've logged in multiple times, that's why this captcha is coming. Otherwise, generally it wouldn't show up. So I click on sign up. So as soon as it's signed up, I will get a list of options, and one of them is I can select a free edition, free zero charge. I can go with professional edition, ultimate edition with a 7-day free trial, or I can go with a family edition. In this video, I'm going over a family edition installation. I click on family edition. I say, yes, I want to do a 7-day trial. And right in the bat, it's just going to give me a tutorial on a walkthrough of different parts of this software. So it shows me, the plus, home icon, and what they are. I click on next. It takes me to the next screen. The smart menu is where you select, you have all your features. I click on it. It asks me to click on it, then gives me a highlight where password manager is, where secure drive or storage cloud encryption is, or where's the settings. I click on next, and it basically brings me to this page. And on the walkthrough, it shows me the walkthrough, and on the walkthrough, it asked me to install the Chrome extension. I'm on a Chrome right now. So I install Chrome, click on download, add to Chrome, install it, and done. Now it also asks me to install LogMeOnce tool. Since I had already installed it, it doesn't ask me to do it again. Next, what I will do, I click on import password to import my password. It checks, my browser to find if there is any password I have saved. Since it is a new installation, there was nothing saved, so it didn't find any passwords there. But right here, I can also install it from any browser I want, or from generic CSV or other applications that we support. you could download and install it from those applications. If you want to import from other applications, you need to export it, and that application, let's say LastPass, you need to export it in LastPass into CSV, and then bring here and import, select LastPass, and then import it. So it gives you a couple of options to import from there. Now, in this example, I'm going to go through adding passwords myself. I click on home, so you'll see the first time I go to the home screen, it shows me I have an identity risk score on the right panel. It shows me what it is, and then it gives me really an overview of that panel, and it shows me my home screen with multiple features that I can use and apply. I go to Password Manager, which is again the screen. I add my password. I click on plus and add an app. So first I'll try to add the Gmail. As you type, it will select and checks the catalog of about 500, 800 different apps. So when you select it, it will automatically autofill the login URLs. I put Joe's email, and here I put the password. Click on Add App. It just adds the password for me, and I'm gonna click close this, and let me refresh it for a second. And when I refresh, and now Gmail is added. Let's add another app. This time I'm going to click on Add App. I'll go with Facebook. So I select Facebook. Joe puts the Facebook password. And I can also write a note. I can use the note to say something like my forgot password is, or security answer for Facebook is. I can just type whatever the security answer is and save it. So I have a note as well. Now let's add another app. This time let's add eBay. I see it in the list. I add eBay. Come here, add the user ID password, and I'm gonna add let's this time select a weak password. I add a password that's also saved. Now if I move my mouse to the black area, I see some default folders. If I want to add new folders, I can in this area, I can right mouse button, I can click on add group. That's one way I can add. Or I can come here and say add group in the plus icon. So maybe I will add, travel. So that could be my other group that I added. I have two travel. Good. So I come here, edit it, and maybe I change it to travel. Oh, maybe I can put airport. Any airport related password that I have, I can put it right there. So this basically showed you how to add, save. If I click any of those groups, it shows me passwords that are in that group. I don't have any password there. So if I go to my cloud, I'll see all the passwords, or it shows me all the passwords. So let's add another app since we talked about airport. Let's say we can add United Airlines. So I can add the name, and now I can put my password for United Airlines. So what I can do also, I can move it from here, drag it, and dump it into this group. So now it has gone to the airport. When I come to my cloud, I see everything that I have, all these different apps. But if I go to airport, I will see only the apps that are related to our airport. I can also add notes. And when I add notes, I can define a category, color. Let's say I would say this is the appliance password. I call this my firewall password. It is A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So I click on add note. The note is added. As you see, I can add any data I want from any screen. I don't have to be on the note screen. So I can add it from any screen. Let me add one more note. This time I will put bank account. I will change the color and I would say BOA, and the bank account is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now I have an option to show the notes in dashboard. I'm going to check it here, but when I go to notes, I'll explain what that is. So notes is also added. I can go to add also a credit card in the same manner. Now, if I go back to my cloud, it shows that you can have different version of the views. You can have medium icon view, or you could have details view. When you are in details view, it shows the app and it shows the data that are encrypted, and it shows the strength of the password for that data that's encrypted. And similarly, I can right mouse button, click on edit. I can share it. I can copy username and password if that's what I want. Now, the one thing I can do is I can, let's say, edit, click on edit. On the right panel, it shows me information about the app. I showed you one way to move the app by dragging it to move it into a different folder, but you can in fact do it from here as well. Let's say I say eBay is a family app. I can move it to family. Now, as soon as I save it, that will be moved to family app. So that is one way I can do it. And I can also have specific files that are related to eBay and save it right here. So I can, drag files and save it here. This shows the groups that this app could belong to. And also I can really share it with different family members as well. And in a second, I'll go and explain family members. So maybe that will help you understand how that can be used as well. So let's do this. Click on Open General and then click on Save Changes. Now that is changed, and now eBay is in Family app. So this is how you can add, different password within the system and use it. Okay. Now let's go to Smart Menu. I'm going to go to Secure Notes because I added a couple of notes and I wanted to show you. As you see, for this note, you don't see right away when you come, you don't see the data. But for this note, you can see the data. If I click on it, you'll see I have checked the show note in dashboard. That's why you can see it. And if I remove the check and save it, then that note will not be seen either. So the data is not seen. But if I click on it, I can see it. Now I can add additional notes. On top of that, I can add files specifically to this note. This could be any documents that needed. I can add it to the note. So this is one view you can look at it. And I can also have a different view, look at the same data. You can pick and choose what type of data you are interested. You can add notes also from this screen. Okay, let's go and add a family member. In order to add family members, you want to go to Smart Menu. Under General, you come to Family. Under Family, you want to select Add a Family Member. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add my son Andy. So I'm going to say that is Andy's email, and Andy, and I'm going to say son just to make sure it's all clear, and I click on add Andy. I'm going to pause a second. Maybe I should add a profile image. Oh, let me do this. So before right now what I did, I added Andy and click on Save Changes. Now Andy is added to the account. So in order to, if I move my mouse here, you will see, my session information, how long I've been on, what's my IP address, what's the last time to log out. It's going to log me out. It shows my version and my default browser, which is used for language. If I select it, I can select other supported languages as well. Now, if I want to change anything under my profile, like picture, I click on profile. It brings me here. I can bring my picture or other data from Facebook, or I can just add it from here as well. So let's do this. I'm going to pause it for a second and bring an image, and then we go from there. Okay, so I brought some images. Let's do this. I'm click on choose the file. I love my dog, so I'm going to use that image. So it shows it here, and this is it. So that is my image. I click on Save Changes, and everything is saved. And now I go to the home screen, because the first time I'm coming to this screen, it shows me, my other information that I can use. Now my profile picture is also shown here. Okay. Now, as you remember, I sent the invite to my son Andy. What I have done is that was on Chrome. Joe was setting it up, but I have set up Andy to be on Firefox browser. So what I did, and this is my email. So as soon as I send the invited Andy, Andy received the invitation to LogMeOnce family account. So this is Andy. It gets an email. It shows Andy's email. It shows the login page, and it shows Joe has invited him to come. So Andy can click on join family member. And I'm in a different browser. Now, this is the flow of what Andy will do. Andy will select a password. Now, similarly, Andy also will select a security question. But this time I use, best friend's phone number. And for the best friend's phone number, I'm going to use 800-555-1212. And I'm going to save it. No. So Andy, the very first time, comes to the account. That is the screen they see. So it's a little tutorial for Andy as well. So click on next. Click on here. Again, next. And this is for Andy. So Andy sees that it needs to really go through the checklist. Click on install Firefox extension. It brings Andy to this screen. Click on download. Continue with installation. Add it. And now everything is added. And Andy can see the data. Okay. Now, if I log into Andy, go to the password manager for Andy, as you can see, there is no password for Andy. Andy can start adding his own password. But on the other browser, if I go to the password manager for Joe, I see a bunch of passwords there. So I have a couple of ways, I can share passwords with Andy. So I can go to family. I can, pick Andy, go to application, and let's say I want to share eBay with Andy. I just select it, click on the arrow, it goes up. And if I come on this side, which is Andy's account on Firefox, if I refresh, boom, I see eBay, and now Andy can really use it. Now next, what I would recommend is when you come to General tab, you can define roles. You can be either administrator or a family member. I highly recommend at least you want to have somebody else to be a family administrator in case if there's any issues, they can log in and use the software as well. But you want to make sure you have a backup family administrator, at least one. So I'm going to make him, in fact, before I make him a family administrator, if I come here, if I go to Smart Menu, this is the setting that I see. So I wouldn't make him, a role right now, and I will show the rest of it in a little bit. Okay. So as I showed you, Andy has got the eBay account. Now Andy can go and add app. Let's say Andy adds his own app, Twitter. Andy adds Twitter, puts Andy's email. Okay, you put a password and click on Add App. Now, since it's the first time I'm really logging into the extension, it gives me multiple ways of putting my passwords. Then, done, it is saved. So now I have, my data is saved here. I'm going to do a refresh. So I can see all the applications, whether the ones I have added or the ones that are shared with me. So let's go back to the software again. So this is how you can add different applications. And let's say this time Andy goes to a family site. Andy sees Joe, the users, but Andy cannot add users to the account. Now I go to application password, and this is the password that was shared, and with all the information that I wanted to share with the user. Now let's go back to Illustrator, Password Manager, and eBay. And so this is my eBay account that I wanted to share with this user. Now with my son. What I'm going to do next, I'm going to share in a different way. I'd come in, right mouse button, and share. This time I want to share, and I will share with my son Andy. So I share it with my son Andy, and I don't want Andy to be able to see my password. So I don't check this thing. I can say when this is going to expire or otherwise. So I click on share. Now as soon as I click on share, an email will go to Andy, and also Andy will see a notification here. And if I come back here, one option is go to notification, click on check notification. I will see this that says a pending share has come. And however, if I also go to email, I will shortly receive an email also from Joe. So if I go here again, so if I click on here, it tells me, do you want to accept it? I say yes. So it is accepted. And it shows it is shared by Joe. And I close it. Now, if I go to, for example, again, edit this user, I'll see there's one share. So something is shared with this user. Now, if I click on it, it shows this is shared by Andy. It shows it's been accepted. And if I click on go to sharing center, it shows the application that was shared by Andy. And then I can click on edit. And now I can see the password. As you see, I have set view passwords. I'm allowing it to view password. But if I don't want to allow it, I click on this checkbox, click on save, I come back here. Now, if I go to Facebook, password is not visible. Hi, let's continue with our walkthrough for of LogMeOnce Family Edition. I'm going to log in with the password. And let me point out, few of the features we haven't really talked about it yet. Now, the first thing it will do is LogMeOnce points out, use a security checkup so I can have a recovery password, recovery phone number, and also emergency recovery key. In case if my account is, I can't get to my account. So I highly recommend you to set up all these three. I'm going to start with generating a recovery certificate, and it's going to create a certificate for me, recovery key. When it's all done, I can, save it to a file or print it to a recovery key. So I'm going to print it. I'm going to get there. And this would be the recovery key, and I'll just print it. That's all. And as soon as I print it, I have it in my system. I'm call it, let's say, LogMeOnce recovery key, or call it whatever you want. Just the point is, have a recovery key so you can always, get back to it. Then you can have an email address, and maybe what I want to do, I use, my son's email as my recovery, so we could, recover each other. So I'm going to put his email as recovery key, save changes, and, that is going to send an email to him, and he has to approve it. Then that's all will be set. Okay, so I am right now logged in with as Andy. So if you look at it here, I'm Andy, and I came here to the email. I couldn't find it, but I scrolled down. I noticed that email went into spam. So you definitely want to, if something like this happens, always go and remove it from the spam. And so this way, all of your other emails will not be blocked. So I click on report not a spam. I come in here, I see it there, and now I click on confirm email. Now, as soon as this is confirmed, I come here and I see that waiting is gone, and now that email is available. So similarly, you can do this with, with your phone number. So it's, in this case, it's going to send the email. I'm sorry. In this case, it's going to send a text to your phone number, and then you're going to type it here, and then it will be, as soon as you type it. So let's say if I add something like 703-555-1212 and click on enter a code, it will send the text, and then it's going to wait. And it says here this is not a phone number, but anyway, so that is what it will do. Okay, when you are done, click on continue with the LogMeOnce account, so you always are there. So something to notice when you log into in the detailed view, anything that you see, this section is the notes section. Anything I see in red, that means this has a note. This field, this password has a note. I can click on it and see the note. If you remember in the other video, we created a note here, so you could see the notes on this screen as well. So now let's go on adding, let's add a credit card. I'm going to go and click on add credit card, and then I'm going to put, cold hold number. It's going to see Joe Smith. I'm going to use 42, 42, 42. This is one of the default numbers. I'm going to say 1, 2005, and I'm going to say 123, and issued by BOA. So I'm going to save it. Now this credit card is saved. So if I go now to, under password management, if I go to Secure Vault, I will see that saved credit cards. In fact, I had created 2, so it shows both of them, both of my cards that are present there. Okay, so that is. Now, another thing I can do here is I can go, let's look at the walkthrough of the other features. We created secure notes. We talked about, password changer, and we talked about the sharing center. And sharing center has 2 tabs basically. One tab is shared with others, everything that I have shared with others, and I can come here and change it. Any shares I want at any time, I can update my shares. And also shared with me, apps that are somebody else has shared with me. I can view both of those things on this screen. So on the smart menu, I have other features that I will go through them one by one, so you will be able to have a group, a good way of understanding all the features. Very good. Let's go to groups. I am as Joe, the father. I go to groups. These are the different folders and groups that I have created. And, I have a folder called family, and that's created. Now, if I click on the details of it, on the right side, I see who is the member of that family group. So, for example, if I click on member, I see nobody is the member, but I'm going to add Joe. I'm sorry, I'm going to add Andy to be the member of that group as well. So let's select it and, right up arrow, and now Andy has been added to that group. And I'm going to share. So, as in that family group, I have eBay shared. Let's share also United Airlines. So I'm going to share United Airlines as well. Now, let's log in as Andy now. So on this screen, I'm going to log in as Andy. In fact, for Andy's also, it is asking me to set up, a configuration for Andy. It's best to set it up. I'm going to set it up later, but for right now, I'm going to continue with LogMeOnce. Now I'm going to password manager. Now I am Andy, and Andy in the family edition, as you see, this is shared, and these 2 apps are shared, and I can use it. If I go to family edition, I see both of those apps that are shared. Now let's click on smart menu, and I see groups here as well. And on the groups, I have apps that are under the groups. So this is a group that I have created, and this is the group that is shared. So if I go to this group, under this group, what I can do is, if I look at the members, I'll see I am part of that member group. As you see, I cannot change the membership. Only Joe can, create the membership. So that's because of that. And then if I go to the application, I see list application. But maybe at this point, I want to share one of my apps with the group, so everybody will have access to it. And I added, now that app goes into the group. If I, click here and come back, and I see that app also listed in the group. So this way I can share apps, with my family, and applications with my family, so everybody would be able to use it. If I go back to password manager, so that was the family app. In fact, let's do this. Let's just go ahead and change this. We call it a family share. I can type. So family share. So this is the app that I created, family share. As you see, there are 3 apps here. And interesting enough, some of them was shared by, Joe, and some of it was shared by Andy. So that would be if I do a refresh, I would see the shared folder as well. So this is how I can share apps across, different family members. And you can, create multiple shares. One could be for family share, one something you want to share with your daughter, your son, your spouse. You can, set everything the way you really need. Next is, let's go back again to Smart Menu. And in a Smart Menu, you can set up two-factor authentication. And two-factor authentication is really meant for, this is what you do for yourself. You can, set that up. For example, I can set up two-factor with email. I can set up with Google Authenticator, USB, X509 cert, security key. I can do all of that. So every time I log in, it will ask me for my authentication. Now let's do this. I'm going to go back to the Andy's, Andy's browser, which is on this side, and set up Andy with 2FA, and let's see what happens. So I come here and two-factor authentication, and let's say set up Andy with 2FA. I'm going to click on that. It's going to send it. So I'm going to enable 2FA with email. I say send a code. So it's sending a code right now to Andy's email, which I have Andy's email open on this side. Let's open it and wait for the email to come. Now the email has come. I click on the email and it shows me the code. And that is the code. So I can basically, copy it, bring it here, paste it, verify it, done. Now that it is verified, save changes, now logging via email is functional. I highly recommend that you set up multiple of these 2FAs. So you have multiple options in case you couldn't go with one, you can log in with another option. So let's now log out from Andy's account and see what really happens. I log out from Andy's account and now I try to log in with password, and as you see here, F2FA was enabled. So I click on login and I log in. It tells me that I have sent an email to this Gmail email address. So if I come back here, I should see the email from that email to show up. Okay, now I see the email has shown. Keep in mind, if you send multiple 2FAs, here it says number 2. You want to make sure you always look at the very last one. For example, this was sent 0 minutes, but this was sent 2 minutes ago. So always look at the very last one, which was new. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to. You always, if you enter it, this will say invalid code. So let me go back here. So I can put now the new code and click on verify. However, I wanted to emphasize a couple of things on this screen. If, for example, you didn't receive the email, you click on send email again and it will resend you the email. That's one thing you could do. Another option is maybe you don't have access to this email address right now, or you want to maybe cancel it to FA altogether. So what you can do is click on cannot log in to account, so you can log into account. Now if you don't have access to this email at all, you can set it up. You can cancel it through the account recovery. That's another option, but you want to make sure that you have multiple options of recovery set up, like that phone number that I mentioned. Okay, so I select this, click on verify, and as soon as I verify, I get logged into the account. So now I am in my account using 2FA, which is a lot more secure way of logging to the account. All right, so we did this, and as you see, I only set this up for Andy. I haven't done this for Joe. So Joe still can log in any way that they want. Okay, so let's go through other options here. We talked about groups. We did two-factor authentication. Now, let's go about profile. In a profile page, it shows, I have not confirmed my email. Let me look at the profile page for Andy. If Andy has, configured his. So Andy has, but, as you see, the Joe has not. Okay. In profile page, as you look at it here, there's multiple options. Right here is your profile picture. You can change it. Here it says your profile is not complete. If you mouse over it, it will show you what are the things you need to do. You need to enter last name, birthday, confirm email. So those are the options that you want to do. Let's do those. So we have, I'm going to say Smith. I'm going to say 1 January. Okay, that's done. I'm going to use 123 Main Street. We are in Virginia, Fairfax 22033, and US state and country is and the United States and Virginia. I select Virginia. I can put the number. If I have a company, I can put the company name. Let's save changes, and then as you see, my profile, completeness grows. So I still need to add a phone number, confirm email address, and also put company info. On this side, it will show you your default browser setting. You can use that as language, or if you want to have, other languages, you could use that as well. And auto logout is if there's inactivity in your account, in your browser, it will automatically log you out of LogMeOnce. You can set it to different, you can disable it, which I wouldn't recommend it. You can, set it to something reasonable. You can do it 10 minutes, 30 minutes, up to 1 day, but it's all your choice, but you can update it, as you wish here. Now, another feature we have is you can set up multiple profiles. For example, I can go and create a profile. Maybe I have another email address that I use as, Smithy, as my, and then I can use it as smithy@gmail.com. Maybe that's another email I'm using. For my autofill and otherwise, I can save it. Now that's also saved. And here it shows I have 3 of 3, and you can use different addresses for them. So it will be used for autofill also. Now I'm going to go back to this, but let's look at the addresses. I can even have multiple separate addresses. So, you can define 234 Brown Avenue, Suite 123. So that could be my address. So, that is also saved, and this way you have multiple addresses also to use. So let's go back. So this is the settings you can do under profile. Now let's go back to setting page. Now under setting page, you can have it is multiple menu settings on the left side, starting from the website. Website, these are all the activities that happens on the website. For example, I can disable productivity dock. This is productivity dock. If I save it and done, now productivity dock, if I refresh it, productivity dock is gone. There's no more productivity dock. Now, display vault animation. Now, if I go to password manager, you see this vault opening and closing. I can disable that. And if I go to settings and disable that option, I can disable that option. Boom. Now, if I go back to password manager, it wouldn't ask me for my vault. It automatically takes me to the account. So those are really options based on what you like to do. You can do it based on for example, schedule login. I can come up here and say, schedule log out, and this is the log out screen, and it shows me both of these together. If I disable that and click on Save Changes, if I log out, it will automatically log me out of your LogMeOnce. So that option is also gone. So let's log in again. Very good. Let's go back to settings one more time. Now, landing pages. Right now, the landing page is set to password manager. Maybe I want to log in. Every time I log in, I want it to directly go to Secure Vault after my login. So if I save changes, click on Save Changes here and log out. And now if I try to log in, it takes me directly to my Secure Vault. It takes me directly to my digital vault or secure wallet. So let's go through the setting. As you see, these features are very straightforward. Now, maybe in my case, if you look at it, all the icons that you see here, maybe I don't use, let's say, a password changer here. So I'm going to come here and click on password changer, save changes, and now if I look at the smart menu, that password changer is gone. So I can really simplify this based on how I am using it and what I want to do. Now, browser extension, if you click on browser extension, these are the features that are enabled for browser extension. Now, if I check this, it will, if there's no internet connection, it will use the extension on the offline mode. And if you mouse over, it will give you an explanation what it means. So basically, if there's no connectivity with LogMeOnce, or you are in the plane or otherwise, you can have access to your data offline. So this is something you can also use and change. Now, show account selection on the login page. Now, what here it does, okay, this is showing the, selection on the login, account selection on login page. Now, so what I do is if I want to, for example, log into Facebook, if I click on here, this is the selection page. I can disable or enable it. Let's go back and let's disable that. Okay, under remember password, it shows remember password pop-up when logging to a site. It will show a pop-up when you are trying to log into a site, whether you want to show it or not. For example, if I try to log in as testtest.com and with some password, if I try to log in to Facebook, this is the remember password, which tells you do you want to show it or not. Now, if I go and disable that, so don't show me remember password and save it. And now, if I try to log in, let's try it one more time. Okay. Test@test.com. Let's say test2, and this is test. And as you see, nothing really happens. That dialog doesn't show up. So you can disable the dialogs. This will disable browser password manager and explain some details about it. Password changer pop-up if you want to disable it. Now, this feature enables auto login. What that really means is if I go back to password manager, for example, here, if I edit this app, if you look at under more options, it says auto login is enabled. What that means is, let's go back here. What that means is, now if I try to refresh, right, it will show my data. Now, however, if I come and click on this option, it will log in and autofill my password. But if I remove this check and save it, it doesn't log me directly to the app. Let's look at what happens. If I click on this, it will just autofill it and it stays right there. It doesn't do anything after that. So that is the difference, whether you want to autofill or you want to actually the auto login. Now this feature, this shows 4 apps, or let me refresh it because this was 4. This is 4 or 5 apps where are currently enabled for auto login. If I click on it, it will enable all of them. Let's look at it. And so all of them, let's go here so you can see the difference. Let's refresh it. So I'm gonna go to the same test app. If you look at secure option, it is checked. Now, but if I go here and click it one more time, it will disable it for all of them. And by the way, this is already saved. There is nothing you need to do. So let's refresh it. It was enabled, but now if I go, it is disabled. So which means automatically you can set up for, if you have 500 apps, you can automatically change it to autofill. So you don't have to do anything. Now, when you do, when it does remember password, let me save it here. And let's, test.com, test. So look at, it shows you a group. It is set to favorite. If you look at it here, this is because this group, default group, is set to favorite. If you change this default group, so every time remember password is shown, it can, show it for a different group. So the default would be a different group. So that is used for that purpose. Now for autofilling. Now you have 2 ways of autofilling. One is, as you see here, it says enable personal information autofill and disable browser autofill. So there are, 2 different features here. Let's look at this. I am right now, let's say I go to create a new account in Facebook. I'm here. So as you see, I click on here. First of all, you see the icons here. That means those fields we have detected, and we can tell you what they are and autofill for you. I'm currently on a password page. If I click on it, it shows generate password. This is first name. If I click on it, it shows my first name. Everything related to first name. Now on this autofill screen, it shows you multiple icons. So this is automatically detected. If we did not detect this field properly, maybe it was a credit card, you can click on it and you see the credit card information. Maybe it was, already we had an account and we didn't detect properly. You can use that. Or it was a password generator, you could use that. So this really gives you that option. By the way, with the password manager, it was, if the generator, it automatically generates a password for you. But if you want something else, you click on show more, and now you can perform different type of settings there, and you can change it on the password generator. In the password generator, since we are doing that, you can show hide it, you can copy it, and let me show it. You can, generate a different password. Right here, it shows the password strength and the time to crack. And this time is really dependent to multiple factor, and it could change based on CPU power. And it's just the estimate of the time it takes. I can extend this and get a different password. I can change my, requirement and generate a different password automatically. So that field is about, that autofill. Now we allow, as you see, is there are one item. It says open LogMeOnce pop-up when you click on the field, right? So what I did, if you look at here, I was clicking on this field and the pop-up was showing up. Maybe that's not what I want. maybe I want to click on the icon. Let me save changes. And then let's go back to this screen. See, if I click on that field, nothing shows up. But now this time, if I click on the icon, it will do the same thing. So you have this option as well to be able to review and update, see what data you have there. Here it shows as default, it shows the LogMeOnce icon in the detected field, which is these fields here. And show password generator for detected password field. That's what I showed you. And show field with the orange color. And that is what, what's shown. Now, let me try something else. Let's assume this we had not, give me a second. Okay, I was trying to find a field that we didn't detect it, but couldn't. We were detected. I tried Facebook, New York Times, and CNN. But let's assume this field we have detected as zip code. If I click on it, it will show the zip code that you could autofill. So let's assume we have not detected this field. Now, or we have detected wrongly. So what LogMeOnce allows you to do is if you click on it, right mouse button, it shows on the bar here the option to autofill mapping. If I click on it, it will, in this case, it is automatically detecting this as an address. So if I click on address, it says, it's let's say it is a zip code. If I click on it, so it will consider this is a zip code. So if it was not a zip code, or maybe a field was not detected, the login field was not detected, I can go and say, this was not really a zip code, maybe it was a login screen. So I can say this is a username, and now the text is a username. And at any time I want, I can go and, change it. Login, if you see, this was the default. I can, change it, go back and change it to address and zip code. So that is another feature of LogMeOnce that allows you to do that. Now, never remember, if there are websites that you don't remember the password, like maybe I come here, let's say I go back to log into existing account. I put test2 at test3.com and try to save it. And then it says, remember, I would say never to decide. If I click on it and come back here, refresh it, I should see, Facebook under this list. I can remove it, or I can even add my own URL to be added to this list. OpenID is related to the website that supports OpenID, so you can log in through that. Mockshot setting is when somebody logs in, LogMeOnce provides and stops hackers from logging in, because we take their metadata information and stop them from hacking to LogMeOnce user accounts. So what happens is you will be able to do front facing. We can, take the camera during unsuccessful logging or through successful login. Even if you want to log in when users are logging in and you want to make sure it's really you who is logging in and not somebody else, you can collect all that info as well. So you can set what options you want to do here. Under mobile, when you use photo logging to log into LogMeOnce account, we can always show the PIN as default, or you can decide never show the PIN or default show the PIN. If I go to default, it basically says by default user is asked for additional verification when lock screen is not enabled, lock screen of your mobile device. But if it is enabled, it will never ask it. If you go to always, it will always ask for a PIN additional to your picture. If you say never, it will never ask. Now under privacy, we'll let you set whether you want to capture camera, allow capturing location information, and also cookie information. The last thing on the storage location is you can store your data in the cloud or on your desktop. Now, please keep in mind we are here. We are really answering the user requirement because that they want to store their data on the desktop because they don't want their data to be on the cloud. We completely understand that. So if you store your data on the desktop, that means your data is on this particular desktop. You don't want your data to be, on the cloud. Now, if you want the data to be on a mobile, so it has to somehow travel from here to a mobile, right? And generally, what other vendors do is they use and sync it through cloud, which really bypasses the whole security and concern the user had. If you want to be on the desktop, that means that was your concern, so keep it on the desktop. Why do you need to sync it to the through the cloud? Because that's not the user was asking for in the first place. So that is what when you say desktop, that means it is on this desktop only. I don't want to put it in any other place. Of course, if you want to move it to other location, other desktops, you can do that, but still it will be on that desktop because you don't want to leave your boundary or your PC. You don't want your data to leave your PC. But if you want, and if you please, I highly recommend reading this section that explains what really happens with when you put your data on your desktop, on your local computer only. But if you put it on your cloud, it gives you a lot more flexibility. You can sync across different devices, different PCs. So it's a lot more protected. We back up all the data here. You're responsible for backing all of your data yourself. So this was, another overview from the settings section of the software. Now let's go back to subscription. Subscription is generally talks about different subscription of LogMeOnce. It is into three different areas. Password manager. You see there premium, professional, ultimate, and family. You can go to identity protection for dark web monitoring, and this covers everybody in your family. Or you can go to cloud encryption that covers the cloud encryption. So these are the three different options of encryption. Now on the left side, it shows the overview of your account. It shows I'm a family edition, until when this account is valid for. It shows my storage. If I'm, the amount of storage I have. If I want to buy more storage, I can definitely do so. Now LogMeOnce allows you to send SMS and voicemail. And for that, you need to get credits. You can buy credits if you want to do that. If you want to use SMS, if I click on buy, I can buy additional credits. It is, $10 for, 1,000 credits. We give you a lot of options. Other vendors don't have that, but we give you a lot of options. You don't have to buy credits, but we give you the option in case if you want to. So on the billing history, if you click on show billing, it will take you to the billing section. You can see, I haven't purchased this. Is a new account that we set up together. You can see payment, and you can also see subscription. And go back arrow, it takes you back to the subscription page. Okay, let's go over emergency access. Emergency access is a way I want to set up beneficiary or give emergency access to the people who I trust. And that's in case of emergency, I cannot access my system. I can give people access so they can log in. Maybe I'm in a hospital or in other situation, I can give access to my account. So let's try this. If I want to set up emergency, I click on add emergency. And let's say I want to set up, I give emergency access to Andy, my son. So in case if I'm not able to log in to my account, I'll give Andy emergency access. Now, what waiting period means is, as soon as I send the emergency access, you will see, I'll show you in Andy's account. As soon as I send emergency access, it will show up in Andy's account that, he has received the emergency. Now, he can accept it. And when he accepts that emergency, I have 2 days to cancel the emergency. That is one option. Or I can immediately give him access, or I can increase this timeout. So I will let that to you on how you want to decide to do that. In this example, I want to select immediately, so they will have immediate access. If I click on show more option, it shows the details of the email that we are sending to Andy on behalf of Joe. So let's click on send, and now this Andy emergency is set up. It is gone to Andy. So let me all right, let's get started on the report. So I am in a smart menu on reports. There are three separate icons. Let's go over productivity. And when you go in productivity, there are two different sub menus there. One is the productivity chart, the other one is security chart. Everything under productivity, it's all about productivity. Now there are 6 different charts that you see here. The first one is about apps usage, which says which websites do you log into the most. So that is what it tells you really. For example, in this case, I know it helps me understand I spend 83% of my time on using Facebook. The next one is which browser do you use mostly. From what I see here, almost 100% has been Chrome. Now, which IP addresses I come from, whether it's an office location, is it I'm outside at the coffee shop, or I'm at home. So it tells me which is the most location I log into. And also which shared group I use most. So these are different groups that I use most. Or it could be groups that I already selected. Maybe, I have a group called family, or a group called, or a shared folder called the airport travel. So it shows basically which one I use mostly. Now, device security, which devices do you use most? I really, beside this PC, I have not used this account on other PCs. If I had, iPhone, iPad, Android, then it would have showed me, which devices I use mostly, and also account activity, which is what time of the day do you most often use, this LogMeOnce account. So end of the day, what this really shows you, it's a productivity tool to help you manage your time in a better manner. Under security chart, we have a 2 weeks chart of activity in the account. For example, it shows that on Friday how many times I successfully logged in, how many times I logged in. It shows all the total, how many times I did auto login. Shows the total all of the activities. And imagine if this is filled with different types of activities that auto login that I do. Now, on this chart, the live password tracker, it first of all, it takes sometimes, you use the account, and based on that activity, it looks at how the password strength was done. For example, on March 10, based on the number of passwords I did, total overall password strength was 80%. But later, I added on March 12 more password, but I used weak password. So the password strength of those passwords, so it dropped down my total password strength. So it became 49%. So when you run this for some time, you can really, drag within the area, zoom in, and understand, in a live manner how you're decreasing or increasing your password strength. End of the day, it's so important to ensure your password strength is high, so it will help with the identity risk score you have while you're doing anything online. Okay, the next item we're going to talk about is scorecard. If I click on a scorecard, it shows me the most important part of this scorecard is the identity risk scorecard. This is a collective number that we calculate based on 7 different criteria, and those are 3 of them is shown here: leaked password, dark web monitoring, and hybrid identity score, which is the same 3 here. The other 4, which are all password score related, it shows in the other tab. So if you add all these 7 different things, it shows how we calculate all this number. So the D minus is really a calculation based on this different items. So I'm going to go through each of these risk scores to see, what has been the risk, my risk score on this account. Now, leaked password, in this account, I don't have leaked password yet. I will include it later and make a recording on that. But it just, tells me I need to, include the dark web monitoring. For dark web monitoring, when I do dark web monitoring as default, because I have not purchased the module, it does only do my current email and shows me, because it's a new account, no breach was found. I just created this email account a few days ago. Now, hybrid identity score, it automatically looks at some metrics and best practices, and based on those best practices, it helps you really automatically tell you, what are the areas you're missing. For example, you need to have 2FA. Did you install LogMeOnce mobile app? Have you been, using passwordless login? End of the day, you want to make sure you increase your score. That is really what's the most important thing of all. Now, when we go to password score on the other tab, you see the other 4 elements. The first one is overall password password strength. Here it shows me I have 7 different passwords. 2 of them are duplicates, the other ones are not, and then password strength is low, and all the way it goes to 100%. So the idea is, what it really is asking me is, these are the first thing you need to tackle and fix right away. Now, if I go to master password strength is the password I use to log into the account, to LogMeOnce account. So it calculates that as well, and it shows me what it is. At any time I want to recalculate it, I can type it, and then it will recalculate it for me. Now, application password security is another policy that is all automatically calculated based on those 7 different passwords that I had. As you look at it, there were 7 different passwords. For example, the first one is, how many of my passwords are over 15 characters? None of them. So that's not good. So it says it is really weak. Then it looks at how many are uppercase, how many are numeric, special character, duplicate password. So based on this different password parameters, it comes with the application password policy. Now, keep in mind, in front of each chart, there is a information icon. You can mouse over and read about what this chart really means. Now, when you go to protected login score, we have done really something very intelligent here. If you use LogMeOnce to log into different accounts, that means you don't remember the password. You have created a strong password. So in those cases, we say those are protected logins. But if you log in manually without LogMeOnce, that means you remember those passwords. And the chances of those passwords to be weak or memorable is very high, because you remember them, and that's what you use to log in. So we differentiate between these two, and we tell you how your score is, so we help you to protect your account. Now, next, we'll talk about activity on the report. Activity shows you a list of, it shows you the total of 32 activities, and it shows everything is sorted based on date and time. You can sort them. What type of event was that? For example, a site was created, login attempt, all these different events. Right now it shows only 10 per page. Because of this, I can scroll and show all the, let's say 100. I can see all of them. I can see based on what devices came in. If I use mobile device, it gets logged here as well. Which browser I used, which application I logged in. So it shows everything and what I really did. And there's a filter right below. I can hide this filter and unhide it. For example, I can come and say, show me all the events that was related about login. I click on login. It shows me everything which was about login. Then I say, show me things about logout. I see things that I did to use logout. Similarly, site created or password change. Show me password change. I can see, every time a password was changed. So it shows me really great detailed information about how the application was used. I can do it based on do searches based on the client. I can do search based on when I logged in last onto the system. I can also search, let's say, based on application. I know, it is showing me all the activities and searches I did on the Facebook app. So it is searching based on those as well. Any event I calculate and, filter out, I can very easily export it to CSV and use it for, any purpose in future. Very good. We talked about reports. So what's significant until now? We've been talking about password management. So that is one of LogMeOnce product and all the different features of password management that you can do. Everything around here is all about password management. LogMeOnce also has identity protection, and we touched about it in the scorecard a little bit. Identity protection is dark web and leaked monitoring. For dark web, we already covered it. Since I haven't included, I haven't purchased dark web here, you don't see it. But if dark web was there, you would have seen some data. I will create a separate video on that. Now, when you look at leaked, password monitoring, it's really the same thing. It will look at the leaked password and monitors it. I don't have the product yet. Now, we also provide, as part of identity protection, not only we monitor your password and identity, we also have an anti-theft solution. Now, with anti-theft solution, under device management, there are two submenus: device management, remote checkup. Device management shows a list of all devices being used to log into my account. For example, if I use a mobile device and log in, I will see it here that I use a mobile device to log into this account. And then when I click on it, just like in this case, it shows a map of where this device was last seen, and I'm currently logged in. Then I can, if it was a mobile device, I could have seen a list of application installed on the mobile device. I can, wipe LogMeOnce on the mobile device. I can ring it. I can do a bunch of activity depending to whether I'm using, iOS or Android device. And I can also see battery life and, a set of other information available. I can also filter it, filter it based on OS, filter it based on the session that are active, not active, filter it based on when, device was online last, date that was created, and whether passwordless login can be done. Again, all these items that I can do, all the filtering, it can be exported. I can hide the filter if not needed. And if I have a yubikey and I want to add yubikey, I can come to add device and add yubikey to the to the account as well. So very good. Let's go to remote checkup. Remote checkup, it shows basically my list of active devices and where they are. So if I zoom out, I will see all that information. Now, if, for example, if I have multiple, if I use logging from office, home, different location, I can see them all right here. Now, one of the nice features of this remote, remote checkup is I can, if let's say I'm in the office and I realize my computer at home is still logged in, I can come here and do a remote logout and log out of LogMeOnce at at home. So this is another set of features LogMeOnce provides. I can again provide filtering option and filter on different categories of data there. Now we talked about anti-theft as well. LogMeOnce has a third product. It's called Cloud Encryptor. As default, when you get Family Edition, you get 10 gigabyte of storage. Now, this 10 gigabyte of storage is the storage for LogMeOnce. You can buy additional storages if you need to, but there are. You can also add Dropbox account, Google Drive, and OneDrive. Adding these two products is an add-on, and it is part of our cloud storage services. but using LogMeOnce is already included within 10 gig. If you add any of the other product, it is unlimited space based on whatever you have in those services. If I don't want to see this, I just hide it, and that will go away. And what I can do is, okay, now let me take a file and just put it. This is an image. I can take an image. Oh yeah, let me do this. I'm on the other system. Okay, now on this system, let's say this is my picture. I want to move it from my hard drive to LogMeOnce. What really happens is we are a zero knowledge company. What that means is, as soon as I drag this file here, this gets encrypted, and after it gets encrypted, it is transferred to the cloud. And we show you the status of encryption and uploading it to the cloud. And before I drop it, you'll see the time it takes to encrypt this file and how long it takes to upload it. It's really, really fast. So I drop it, encryption is done, uploading takes more time. So I can add new folders. Let's say I added my folder. This is my new folder that I add. I log in and I come to this location. Now I have another image file or any document. It should be my IRS tax document. I can encrypt it. So what I do is I drag it. This file is about 700 kilobyte. Drag it and upload it, and then it goes here. What really happened was the data was encrypted using my key, and it is transferred to the cloud. So it's in the cloud that I have all this data, but over there it's actually encrypted. Nobody will have access to my data in the cloud. Now, if I'm going to go back to root, that's where it will be. If you remember, I saved some data in the notes section, and let me show you here. Let's see if this was here. Yeah, you see I had some notes in the Facebook, and now that note is actually saved also in the cloud in here. So if I click on application, I see it here. Let's look at what it was. It was Joe Family Demo. If I go back to Joe Family Demo, I will see that file that was added. So this provides really extensive way of securing your data and giving protection to your files, documents, and images. Okay, now let's see what other options we have to discuss. I think we have really gone over all the features of LogMeOnce app for Family Edition. And thank you for your time for being with me and walking through this walkthrough. Thank you.